G'day and welcome back to my hobby room. Now I've been busy. Look, Hercules, yes. Or Heracles. There's a bit of fight over that. Some clever clog said, it's a Handley Page HP 42 Heracles. It's a frickin' Hercules. Get over yourself. Anyhow, enough of that. Rant over. Look, I have been doing some scratch work. I've scratched bits of wire here. I've scratched a lot of wire here on the tail. There's all kinds of stuff going on there, right? There's masking everywhere. I've masked everything up. I've masked that canopy, right? Now, quite a number of you said, look, Harry, I really hate masking. I find it frustrating. And, have you got any tips? Well, have I got some tips for you? Tips for you. Yes, I have. And I will show you in detail how I get around the problem of basically doing tiny little masks like that. And also how you mask up the windows after you put them inside without it being a big drama. And as you can see, the strips, the secret strips. Yeah, strips. Harry strips. No, it's not that kind of stripping. Yes, it's not that kind of video. Not that kind of video. The kiddies can watch this video. Anyhow, the Heracles has got a lot of things happening. And this video I'll go through, well, half of what I've done. Because Bask ended up shooting hours and hours of footage. I can't believe how much stuff we'd shot. But I've gone into detail on every little thing. So this video will basically be what I'm going to do, a few things like that, mainly the masking and then sort of leading into the wire scratch work. And the next video will all be wire. So yeah, stay wired for that. Roll music. This is where I left the Hercules in the last video. It's assembled for the most part. There's a few little things that need adding, like this back wheel. But that back wheel is missing a lot of detail, see? Here's a picture of what it should look like. So what I'm going to need to do first is I'm going to do a few scratch revisions. And basically it's just a bit of wire on that. Make sure it's braced correctly, put it on the back. The flagpole here, well, that's as fat as a tree trunk. So that is ridiculous. So I will make a mortar scale wire one. It'll still be probably slightly overscale, but it'll look a little better in keeping. I'll also add some wire down here, which are the supports for the mud guards, which go to the hubs of the wheels. That needs doing. Now, at the tail, there's a whole lot of work we can do. Here's a pic, what it should look like. I don't think I'll do all of that, but I will add some little braces that will add the little trims that I haven't put on at the moment. There's little trim panels, right? They're little tiny, like little rudders that just adjust the trim. They have little triangular brackets to hold them in place. There's also a bit of bracing in there that needs doing. And there's like a big handle hook on the back there. I don't know what that was for. Maybe if they wanted to hang it up on a Christmas tree or something. Who knows? Plus, at the nose here, well, underneath this little snoz, there's a few little things. Again, here's a pic. I'm not going to do all of those. What I think I will do is there's one little triangular thing which I think is like a airspeed indicator, something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's a laser cannon. Who knows? But before I do any of that, I need to start on the masking. So, let's get on with masking. I've stripped down the Hercules, took its motors off and its wheels, and we're down to just what will be all the metallic sort of silver aluminium colours. And I've already started on the masking. It's relatively simple so far because basically I've made everything rectangles because that's exactly the pattern that's there on the side of the fuselage. That's in between all the grooves. So that was easy enough to do. And I'd already pre-painted both fuselage halves because I put the glass in. Because that's pretty well the only way I could figure out how to do it, because once you've buttoned it up, you can't get in there to put the glass in unless you do one of those tricks afterwards with putting in sort of the white glue or the special window stuff. But anyhow, masked up my little round holes there. And again, I've followed the grooves. Now, the doors haven't been painted, so that's easy enough to do. I made this one longer so that I could make sure it's butted up correctly there to where that little sort of area is. And then I can come in here with the knife. And the beauty is, because I already have a door here, and I made sure that I used my scribing tool to scribe out the joint. A lot of people have built this, I've seen, and they put the doors in, glued them in, and the whole thing just cements up, and when you paint it, it just looks like one congruous sort of, nose. Well, I wanted doors to be doors. Again, scribing is sometimes a bit dangerous. See, I wanted to illustrate that. Wasn't a mistake, I was doing it on purpose. But yes, if you're pulling on stuff like this, often it's best to just lay the knife down and gently press and a little bit of a wiggle. Right? And then now that should pretty well come away. Yep. There we go. So that's that one done. I have another window, but it's on the door, and that door has not been painted, so that's something I forgot to do. And as I sort of suggested, I think in the other video, put your doors on if before you're going to pre-paint the fuselage halves. You can do my sort of trick and then put in the clear parts. So again, simple matter of resting on that groove. Luckily I kept the grooves. As I said, I actually got my scribing tool out and scored them. So then that should allow me to lift off this. Now before I pull that little piece away, there is that window in there, and I need to keep that masked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the old pencil trick. It's a very soft black pencil, and it will pick up the edges if I just gently do that. So now I should be able to remove my little piece. And I have on there hopefully the mask shape. And now we'll see if it actually fits in my little window. Always tricky, this sort of thing. There we go. Just roll that in. And that should pretty well do that job. So there we go. So that is masked. That is masked. Now, I need to move on to the cockpit, and this is going to be a little trickier. So my method for doing this is to take a large strip and run it all the way over, like so. Okay. If it'll follow the profile, if you can do that without it twisting or bending out of shape, and it does. Okay, so that will work for there. And then what we'll do is, again, I will use the profile that's on there to tell me where to cut. So I will need there and there because I can feel that. It's a bit tricky here to find out where the glass is because it actually goes around and back. But I should be able to find that little edge there. That should be here. So yep, there it is, there. And then that goes back to there. So it's just a matter of finding them. Now I'm not using a sharp pencil. I'm just doing it this way. So again, sort of pencil through. If you like, you can rub over the whole thing and you'll expose a little edge. There we go. So that should give me my first basic shape. Now using a very sharp knife this time, this one's almost like a bloody scalpel that I was given, I can follow those contours. I can actually feel them. And with this one I can run it very gently. So that's telling me, well, again, got to be careful, dragging too hard. Of course, the last thing you want to do is score down on the actual clear canopy. Bit of luck, we'll see if that's now going to lift out. Wants to. Okay, and I'll pull it all the way through. So that's given me those two pieces there, and I have a perfect masked edge. Okay, so accomplish that. So now I simply use that method all the way along. Find edges, run the blade to them, gently cut out and remove. And then I will have my windows all masked up. Alright, that's one way to do it, but here's how I'm actually going to do it, which is the cheats way. I have put this in here with liquid tape. So with a bit of convincing, I'd already protected it with Future, so it's protected from gunking. Now what I can do here is I can do an even easier way of masking. Right, the back pieces here, right, they'll get painted the colour, so it's only really this forward glass area. basically mask off against an edge. Right. And then again, same, run it down. Now the beauty now is I don't have to fumble around trying to find edges. I can see the edges. They're all on that side. So I can put this piece down on my cutting mat and lay down the edge. Hopefully you can see this. Right, there's an edge. And I can run my knife very gently over that edge. And look, I've got a perfect mask, and when I put it back in, it's going to be fine. So I've achieved exactly the same result as last time, but it's actually a lot cleaner. It's really clean and neat because I've followed exactly those edges. So that's another way that we can try and accomplish this. Now, one problem that I will have is there's just all this bunching up of tape here, but that's relatively easy to fix because I do not need that front bit. I can put another piece on there. So I can simply gently score along what will be a panel line there. I can feel that edge there, so I can take that off. Okay, and this is such a sharp knife, I should not be scoring the canopy. It's just gently resting on it. And remember, we're going to cut holes in this afterwards because you've got to leave room for all the frame. So this is just basically trying to get the whole thing masked evenly, and then we'll do the frame. So again, work out where that is. And you don't have to be too precise because remember, again, you're going to cut out a little slot from your masking, which is the frame. I did that when I did the Sunderland. I showed that sort of trick, that I could use a rule and come back over the top of a piece that had been masked and take out a little thin section, which will be what you want to paint. Because remember, you're masking the windows, but you're leaving exposed just the little lines. So we'll do the same trick as before, but this time I've got two windows, 1, 2. So on the apex and across. Okay, and remember, that little piece there that's exposed, don't worry, that's going to be painted. That's part of the frame. And I can cut that exact edge there for the bottom, again, by resting on my cutting mat, lining up to the actual part. There. And there. So there we go. Now it's a matter of working out where all the little slots are. That might be easy to do if I put this back on the model. Doing the slots is actually the easiest thing, but you need something at least mounted on so it doesn't wobble about. So let's put this back on Hercules and we'll cut the slots out. Now with the canopy pushed back into place and it's all nicely masked with very clean edges. Method 2 is my favourite method for doing this, but often you can't do that. Often it has to be in place because you have to putty around things. So then method 1, it's your only other way to do it, is to trace it out on top. But now we need to mark out those frame lines. Now some of them are easy, like there's a central one here. You can even see it through the tape. And there's definitely one here on the corner, right? And there'll obviously be the one across the top edge there. But there's a few more that need to be added. There's one halfway along here, and then also one halfway along here. And there's also a little quarter window here. So you end up with 2 rectangles, a little triangle there, 2 rectangles at the front, and you've got the 2 squares almost over the top here. So how do we do that? Well, the best way to do it is we will measure things. So we'll measure this distance here, 7.2 millimeters. All right, so 3.6 will get us a bisection there. So you may want to be writing these down on a piece of paper while you're doing it. That would also give you the line for that one there, and also the one here, well, it's just off that edge. So that's pretty well it done, because everything else is that way. Only one measurement. All right. So now we're armed with 3.6. I'll get the pencil out and I'll mark across here, and then I will start cutting out all these little edges using a rule and my very, very sharp scalpel blade. It's as easy as that. reference photos of the Heracles, right, show this tiny little window opening here. So that is sort of missing from the kit, and I'd like to put it in. I'm just going to do something very simple. I'm not going to make this complicated. The window is in line with the other windows, and it is just to the side of here. So I can really pretty well guesstimate that. What I'm going to do is, it's easier to drill a hole than it is to try and cut out a square. There we go. Of course, that's only a window for a mouse, isn't it? We need a little bit bigger. So now I go with a big one. Start with a small drill bit, because then if you make a gaff, you can adjust it. And also it means that you don't put a big drill bit on and you put it on and then it goes and it slides all the way over, buggers up the whole thing. So that is about the right size, but it's wrong shape. So what I'll need is a square file. So in my set of diamond files is this one, and it is a square profile. So it's rather handy for doing things to square. Even if you need it slightly bigger, that's okay. You can start with it nice and square. So we should be able to just tease that through. Once it's fully inside, we'll have a perfect square, and then I can enlarge it a bit if I need, but I think it's actually about the right size. So I'm pretty happy with that. So you can see it's already starting to square out, which is exactly what we want. So again, perpendicular. Poor old Porky Pig with his peach impediment. Yes. Don't know if we're allowed to do things like that anymore. We're not making fun. We're just enjoying it. I mean, you know, there's plenty of songs that got stuff like that. My generation and that sort of stuff. Nothing wrong with it at all. Okay, so now it's starting to square out. I'll keep working on that. I'll get that nice and square. So after just a minute or so of filing and then tidying up with the blade, I've got myself a window that will work perfectly. And I won't need to mask that. I'll just paint, and then afterwards I can fill it with some of the white glue to create a clear glass window. Now for some of the scratch footing that needs wire, I've got some 0.5mm wire here, brass rod, so that will be useful. And I've also got some 0.5mm plastic rod. And sometimes that is a lot easier to put in the brass. Brass is good if you need some strength, but if it's just a little piece that needs a tiny thin bit and it's a bit hard to get in there, the plastic's going to work a lot better. So there you go, that's Herc so far, and I've accomplished quite a lot. I'm pretty impressed myself, because some of the stuff I thought, I wonder if I can actually get this done. But I persevered and I got it done. I mean, that fine masking there, that's pretty bloody tricky, but using the second method, that is much easier, and quite frankly, you only just got to put two pieces on, cut away what you don't need, bingo bongo, it gets done. And so the secret to the sides are strips, yeah, just strips. And then what I've done is, oh, you haven't seen it yet, have you? No. Well, that's the thing. There's so much has gone down and so much has been done, and Bass shot about over nearly 2 hours worth of footage. And, you know, trying to get that into one 20-minute video was just a little bit tricky for her little flurry paws. Yes, poor little thing, was it, Bask? Yes, you did a good job. You did a good job. So we're going to have a part 2 of this. Well, just part B, actually. I think this is video 5. Video 6, I'll go into detail. I'll show you how I made, we think it's a pedo tube at the front here. Tiny thing. You can't even bloody see it, can you? It's so small. It's a tiny little widget there. I've got wire that goes on the wheels. I've got all the wire that goes in here into the tailplane. All that will be revealed in the next video. So, sorry I couldn't include it in this one. But look, you can look forward to it in the next one. Now, buttons. This whole thing, this whole industry, this whole animal runs on you clicking buttons. It's your job. You've only got one job. Hit the frickin' buttons. Yeah, it's lick, love, and lascivious. I don't know. Click those. And if you really want to help me out, buy me a curry. I really appreciate that. That's a link somewhere at the end of the video, I think, and it takes you to Buy Me a Curry, which is hangs off Buy Me a Coffee. And yeah, so yes, I really appreciate it. If you could find a few dollars out of your heart and throw it towards me and buy me a curry, it really helps me keep doing all the things that I like to do and that you like to see on this channel. So that is about it for this one. But as I said, very soon, within the next few days, maybe no more than a week, I'll have the video out showing all the brass, wire, and the tiny little pieces that are scratched on this. And they're quite intricate, but they're easy. And I've broken it down into really simple parts. So look forward to that one. All right, that's it. It's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini. Then you'll get a big bowl of it. She's been such a good girl.